The rain was pouring relentlessly that morning, turning the city's streets into rivers of silver. Thomas ran through the storm, his worn-out shoes splashing through puddles as his breath came in desperate gasps. His heart pounded not just from the sprint, but from the weight of everything he carried. A sick child at home, bills stacked like mountains, and the fragile hope of keeping the one job that stood between him and losing everything. He couldn't afford to be late. Not today, but fate had a cruel sense of timing. Just as he turned down the last road to his office, he saw her, a young pregnant woman standing beside a silver car, stranded in the middle of nowhere. She was soaked, one hand clutching her belly, the other waving helplessly for help. For a second, Thomas froze. His mind screamed, "Keep going. You can't risk this." But his heart, it wouldn't let him. He stopped. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and doing what's right no matter the cost, please take a second to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who might need a reminder that good hearts still exist. Thomas rushed toward her, shielding her from the rain with his own jacket. She looked terrified, pale, and in pain. Her voice trembled as she explained that her car had broken down, her phone had died, and she thought she might be going into early labor. Without thinking twice, Thomas helped her into his car and sped through the flooded streets to the nearest hospital. Every minute felt like an hour, but somehow they made it in time. Doctors rushed to her aid, and only after she was safe did Thomas look at the clock. He was already 45 minutes late when he finally arrived at work, drenched, exhausted, and still trembling from the adrenaline. His manager didn't even let him explain. The man's cold words sliced through him. "You're late again, Thomas. This company doesn't have room for people who can't take responsibility." He tried to speak, to explain, but the manager didn't care. The decision had already been made. Thomas had been on probation due to previous absences, times he'd missed work because his 6-year-old daughter, Lily, had asthma attacks in the middle of the night. The company had no patience for excuses. Within minutes, he was escorted out with a termination letter in his hand and tears he refused to let fall. That night, Thomas sat on the edge of Lily's bed, watching her sleep peacefully, her little chest rising and falling in rhythm. Her inhaler lay beside her pillow, and the soft hum of the rain outside filled the silence. He whispered to himself, "I did the right thing, didn't I?" But doubt clawed at his heart. He'd done what was right, yet life punished him for it. Days passed. His savings vanished faster than he expected. He sold his car, his watch, even his late wife's jewelry, just to keep food on the table. Job interviews came and went, each rejection cutting deeper. Employers looked at his termination record and moved on. The world didn't seem to care about good men who fell behind. One evening, while Thomas stood in a grocery store counting coins to buy bread and milk, Lily tugged at his sleeve and said, "Daddy, don't be sad. Good people always get happy endings." Her innocent words broke something inside him. He smiled through tears and nodded, though he no longer believed it himself. Then, one unexpected morning, a letter arrived. The envelope bore the emblem of Hartwell Enterprises, the same company he'd been fired from. Confused, he tore it open. Inside was a formal invitation to attend a special interview for a new division within the company. He almost dismissed it, thinking it must be a cruel mistake. But Lily's hopeful eyes convinced him to go. When he arrived at the company's headquarters, everything felt strange. The receptionist smiled warmly, and the security guards greeted him with respect, something that had never happened before. He was led into a grand conference room with glass walls overlooking the city. There, sitting at the long table, was the last person he expected to see, the pregnant woman he had helped that rainy morning. She was radiant now, dressed in an elegant suit, her posture confident and calm. Thomas froze, his mind struggling to connect the pieces. Then she smiled softly and said, "Mr. Thomas, it's good to see you again. You probably don't recognize me properly from that day. I was terrified and in pain. My name is Emily Hartwell. I'm the CEO of this company." The room seemed to spin. Thomas's mouth went dry. He stammered an apology, saying he never meant to cause any trouble, that he hadn't known who she was. But she waved her hand gently, stopping him. "You don't need to apologize," she said, her voice warm and sincere. "If it weren't for you, my child and I might not have survived that day. You saved 2 lives, Thomas. And when I later learned that you'd been fired because of it, I couldn't sleep knowing someone like you was punished for doing good." Tears burned his eyes as she continued. This company needs more people like you. People with compassion, integrity, and courage. That's why I'm offering you something more than just your old job back. I want you to lead our new community outreach department. We're launching programs to help single parents, struggling families, and those who just need a second chance. You've lived that life, Thomas. You understand it better than anyone. He couldn't speak. His hands trembled as she slid an offer letter across the table, with a salary far beyond anything he'd ever imagined. For the first time in years, Thomas felt something powerful stir inside him. Hope that he accepted the offer with tears streaming down his face. That evening, he picked up Lily from school, twirling her in his arms as he told her, "You were right, sweetheart. Good people do get happy endings." She laughed, her eyes shining like sunlight through clouds, and he silently promised he would never let her down again. Weeks later, Thomas began his new role. He poured his heart into helping others, single parents struggling to survive, workers unfairly treated, people who'd lost faith in humanity. Each day, he saw a bit of himself in those he helped. And every time he walked into his office, he passed by Emily's picture on the wall, a constant reminder that one small act of kindness could change a life forever. But perhaps the most touching moment came months later, when Emily called him to her office again. This time, she wasn't alone. In her arms was a newborn baby boy. She smiled and said softly, "Thomas, I wanted you to meet someone. This is Noah. The doctor said he's lucky to be here, thanks to you." Thomas's eyes filled with tears as he gently took the baby's tiny hand. In that instant, all the pain, all the struggles, all the sleepless nights, they suddenly made sense. His kindness had come full circle. He later became one of the company's most respected employees, not because of ambition or talent, but because of his heart. His story spread throughout the company, inspiring others to act with empathy. And whenever someone new joined the team, they would often hear the tale of the single dad who got fired for being late, but was later hired by the very woman he saved. Because sometimes, the universe does take its time, but it always rewards a good heart. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories like this one.